Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio's Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines as history first heard them. On this day, the 28th of November, in 1660, the Royal Society was founded in London. The Royal Society is a fascinating pillar of English society that maintains its authority to this day. Moving forward, today is a fascinating day in the history of politics. This day celebrates the first time any nation granted the vote to its women citizens, and the first time a Labour government was elected, and the first time a woman was elected to any parliament, specifically so on this day in the British Parliament. In 1893, women went to the polls in New Zealand as a result of a bill passed by a majority of 2 votes. In 1899, the world's first Labour Prime Minister took office, Anderson Dawson, and formed the first ever constitutionally appointed socialist government to sit in the Queensland Parliament. But it only lasted a day, unfortunately. Australia also elected the first Labour Prime Minister in 1904, but John Christian Watson lasted only 4 months. It was only in 1919 that Nancy Astor won the election as a Member of Parliament for Plymouth and became Britain's first woman Member of Parliament. Truly, these are riveting headlines from one of the most interesting periods of 20th century history, where we see constitutionally elected socialist governments and the election of the first woman member of a government infrastructure, particularly so in Britain, where a woman by the name of Nancy Astor became the first member of parliament. Truly, these are all significant headlines to have occurred on this day, the 28th of November. And lastly, on this day in 1948, Dr. Edwin Land's first Polaroid cameras went on sale in Boston, in the United States. The Polaroid camera remains to be a technology that exists to this day, and fascinatingly was one of the most iconic pieces of technology of the 20th century. And on that note, we conclude today's headlines of the day, and we move on to the next segment of our show, where we recount the famous births and deaths of famous figures from the 19th and 20th centuries and sometimes earlier. Born on this day in 1820 was Friedrich Engels, the co-author of the Communist Manifesto and a co-author of many Marxist works, with, of course, the namesake of the philosophy Karl Marx, was born on this day. His birth would be a significant moment in the history of political events and political ideology. That is to say, the history and evolution of political ideology, for it would be their works that would change the world for years to come. Alongside them, alongside Friedrich Engels, on this day in 1919, Keith Miller, Australian Test cricketer who played 55 tests, taking 170 wickets and 2,958 runs, was born on this day in 1919, the 28th of November. And unfortunately, on this day in 1968, the 28th of November 1968, Enid Blyton, English children's book author and creator of the cartoon Noddy, passed away. Her death is mourned by all the fans and readers of her works, which still maintain importance to this day, and of course the fans of the cartoon Noddy. They all mourn her death and celebrate her as one of England's most significant children's author. And on that note, we conclude today's headlines of the day. You are watching and listening to Historian Radio's Echoes of the News, and I am Muhammad Hussain Qazi, and these are today's headlines as history first heard them. Good night.